Hey everyone, welcome to Major Sports Talk. Today we are going to be taking a look at the NFL playoffs, and more specifically, my opinions and predictions. So, let's begin. Starting off the wildcard round in the AFC, we have the 3-seeded Patriots hosting the 6-seeded Titans. Most of you probably know that New England missed out on a first-round bye last week, laying an egg against the Miami Dolphins at home, dropping their record to 12-4. This is the first time they lost at home to their division opponent since September 2008, when Miami won 38-13. So this is obviously a big upset, and now it's time to see how the Patriots bounce back in a must-win game. On the Titans side, they were one of the two teams to clinch the playoffs on the last day of the season, along with the Eagles. They defeated the resting Texans on the road to improve their record to 9-7 and clinch the last spot in the AFC. The Titans have been playing playoff-level football for a few weeks now, fighting for a ticket to the dance. So it'll be interesting to see if Ryan Tannehill can catch the Pats off guard and take advantage of the fact that New England's been locked into the playoffs for the last few weeks of the season. We saw this last year with the Colts and the Texans, when Andrew Luck took advantage of the fact that Houston had been playing meaningless football and went on to win as the 6th seed. However, the Titans are not the Colts, and the Patriots are certainly not the Texans. I think the Patriots will win this game in blowout fashion, with the running game and defense being the driving forces, and Brady staying solid when he has to in big moments. 38-13 for New England. Moving along in the AFC, we have the 4-seeded Texans hosting the 5-seeded Bills. This has been a matchup that has been very likely to happen for a couple of weeks now, as both teams have identical records at 10-6. The Texans rested their two superstars in Week 17 against the Titans, Watson and Hopkins, to make sure they were in full health and at their top level for this game. This did result in a loss, but it was meaningless, as even if they had won, they would still be the 4 seed. The Bills also rested some key starters, including Cole Beasley and Tre'Davious White in Week 17 against the Jets, also resulting in a meaningless loss. The Texans have won the AFC South in 3 of the last 4 years, but are 1-2 in the wildcard round in those 3 years at home. So it'll be interesting to see if they can end their woes at home. Although the Bills would have loved to win their division and play in front of that wild crowd in Buffalo, they are 6-2 on the road, so they are happy to be playing a team that has struggled in the playoffs at home. I think the Bills will win this game by a solid 2 scores, with the defense stepping up for Buffalo. 27-17 for the Bills. Moving to the NFC, we have the 3-seeded Saints hosting the 6-seeded Vikings. This is a rematch of the Minneapolis Miracle a few years back, when Stephon Diggs scored a touchdown on a last-second play to send the Vikings to the NFC Championship game. The only difference is, the game was in Minnesota. Now, that loud Superdome crowd gets to cheer on their Saints after finishing 13-3. The Saints are 7-1 at home in the playoffs in the last 20 years, as it has been a house of horrors for visiting teams. The Vikings also have only gotten their business done at home this season, being 6-2, but are an average 4-4 on the road, resulting in a 10-6 record. The X factor, however, for the Vikings in this game, and likely the only chance they have to win, is Dalvin Cook. Out the last 2 games due to injury, Cook has to come back strong for Minnesota and slow the game down and definitely quiet the crowd if they wish to win. Still, Drew Brees and the Saints' offense will be too much to handle for the Vikings. 45-28 for the Saints. Next, we have the 4-seeded Eagles and the 5-seeded Seahawks. As I mentioned briefly earlier, the Eagles squeaked into the playoffs, winning the NFC East on the last day of the season, beating the Giants on the road to finish with a 9-7 record. The Eagles have been an up-and-down team all year, so it'll be interesting to see which Eagles team shows up. On the other hand, the Seattle Seahawks could have had the 3 seed if they had won at home against the 49ers in Week 17, but instead have to play on the road as the 5 seed after losing to drop their record to 11-5. The Seahawks are heavily favored in this one, but I do think people underestimate how the Eagles can stop the run, having the 3rd most efficient run defense, allowing only 90.1 yards per game. I believe this will lead them to force Wilson to make passes he shouldn't, and the Eagles will come out with the victory on a last-second field goal by Jake Elliott. 17-14 for the Eagles. Moving on to the divisional round, we have the 1-seeded Ravens hosting the 5-seeded Bills. The Ravens had the best record in the NFL this year, finishing 14-2 and on a 12-game winning streak to go along with it. Lamar Jackson is the favorite to win Offensive MVP, finishing with 36 touchdown passes and rushing for 7 touchdowns. Although Buffalo's defense is very good, ranking 3rd in total yards allowed, the Ravens are just too explosive on either side of the ball. They rank second in total yards and fourth in total yards allowed. 35-6 for the Ravens. Next, we have the 2-seeded Chiefs hosting the 3-seeded Patriots in a rematch of the AFC Championship game last year. The Chiefs are looking for revenge from when the Pats took them down in the championship game, but I don't think they'll get it. Belichick will pull wizardry in Kansas City, and a big game from Brady on the road will lead to a 31-27 win for the Patriots. In the NFC, we have the 1-seeded 49ers taking on the 4-seeded Eagles. It was a very surprising year from Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, as they finished first in the NFC with a 13-3 record due to tiebreakers. It's a very talented team with the number 1 passing defense in the league, but they also don't have much experience. It'll be interesting to see how the inexperience plays out in a game like this against an Eagles team that has won a Super Bowl. I think the Eagles' experience will get them to the NFC Championship game as a 9-7 team. I think they'll take it 31-24. The last game of the divisional round we have is the 2-seeded Packers hosting the 3-seeded Saints. These are two teams with identical records and very similar teams. Both have a great quarterback with lots of experience and average defenses. I think it'll be a shootout in Green Bay in the cold. 43-40 win for the Saints with Breeze dominating. Moving on to the championship games, we have the 1-seeded Ravens versus the 3-seeded Patriots. Baltimore has won the only game between these two teams this season, crushing New England 37-20. I think this one will be closer, but Baltimore will still come out on top with their great offense and a tired Pats team. 34-28 win for the Ravens. In the NFC Championship game, we have the Saints back at home against the Eagles, a rematch of last year's divisional game. The Saints had a comeback win last year, but I think if these two teams meet again, a comeback won't be needed. Breeze and Michael Thomas will continue their hot streak and end the Eagles' Cinderella run in a blowout fashion, 38-14 for the Saints. And last, but certainly not least, we have the Ravens and the Saints clashing in Super Bowl 54. Both these teams have had phenomenal seasons, and I believe this will be one of the best Super Bowls ever if it does happen. Both quarterbacks will have great games, and both defenses will struggle to contain the other. If it does happen, it will be a very close game, but I have the Saints coming out on top 52-49. So that does it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Who do you think will go to Super Bowl 54? Leave your answer down below and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys next time.